Germany's Social Democrats have voted to back a coalition agreement with the Greens and Free Democrats. The coalition is expected to be led by the SPD's Olaf Scholz. The Greens and the FDP still need the final seal of approval from their members. Scholz could be sworn in as Chancellor as early as next week. The so-called Traffic Light Alliance will end 16 years of leadership by Angela Merkel and is expected to focus on digitalization and fighting climate change. And DW correspondent Nina Haza has been following this crucial SPD party Congress for us. Nina, more than 98% of the party's members have voted for this new coalition deal. That's a pretty clear mandate, isn't it?
That is a pretty clear mandate, but it was expected. There was a bit of criticism here and there from some of the SPD delegates who said that there were too many compromises, especially when it comes to how the SPD signed the treaty when it comes to the partnership with the Greens and the FDP, so the business-focused FDP. But overall, all the delegates said that they supported this coalition treaty because, of course, they want to see Olaf Scholz in the Chancellery. And then Olaf Scholz again asked his delegates also to give the approval for this coalition treaty. He said it's time for renewal of this country, that he needs to become the Chancellor of renewal. He sees himself in the tradition of the SPD's famous chancellors from the 1970s, Willy Brandt and Helmut Schmidt, and says that he wants to be re-elected in 4 years' time. But of course, he also laid out his top priorities for the coming months. And above all, he mentioned fighting the climate change and fighting the COVID pandemic. Let's listen to what he had to say.
This is not about us. It's about the citizens of this country. It's also about huge challenges, some on a global scale if we consider human-made climate change. But let me also say this. The first and most important challenge we need to tackle is one that has been uniting us for almost 2 years, a task that we all face together. And that is protecting the health of our citizens, keeping the country together, combating the coronavirus pandemic with all of our strength. And that is also our first task.
So, Nina, we just saw Olaf Scholz addressing the party members. What were some of the other highlights that we might need to know about?
Well, of course, Olaf Scholz stressed the unity of his party, which is not something that the Social Democrats are really famous for. For a long period, there was a lot of infighting. But then they managed to win this election also by portraying Olaf Scholz as sort of the natural successor to Angela Merkel, the outgoing chancellor, with his aura of Merkel-esque stability. So this was something that they were very proud of, that they managed to keep it together. But now, of course, many people fear that there are a lot of issues in the way, especially when it comes to the compromises that the new government is going to have to make because of the different interests from all the 3 different partners that are in this coalition, with the business-focused FDP blocking some of the SPD's more social projects, etc. So this is something where there are going to be a couple of stepping stones to be overcome.
And you were mentioning that there are some big, divisions between the coalition party members, big splits over money and so on. But Scholz is likely to be sworn in next Wednesday. If he overcomes those divisions, he'll be taking over from Angela Merkel, in power for 16 years, seen as this source of stability in Europe. So people will be looking to him for what? Can we expect big changes?
This coalition government is going to be a very different one from the current one. I mean, you have to remember that the Social Democrats also form part of the current government, but as the junior partner. So now they are going to take over as the lead party, Olaf Scholz as the Chancellor. And of course, he has been Angela Merkel's deputy and her finance minister for the last 3.5 years. So he has had plenty of opportunity to watch Merkel and to learn from her successes, but also from her mistakes. But what's different is definitely that the party does have a much bigger say here in Germany than in other countries. For example, if you compare it to France, where the president can pretty much determine the agenda, here in Germany, the Chancellor very much depends on the support from the party base. And so this is something where we're going to definitely see a different, a more centre-left sort of a government here in Germany.
Okay, DW's Nina Hase at the SPD headquarters. Thanks so much.